Welcome to Zach and Steve Have a Podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Zach.
And we're back with another episode 13.
Woo!
Of season 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall episode 48.
No, it's way more than that.
58 is what I meant.
No.
58. It's 58 episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
It is, Zach.
all right.
We're just trucking along, man. Every episode is just another milestone to a hill that doesn't matter.
At some point, we will
Very
hit
depressing.
we don't know what that point is, but some point we will be at the midpoint, like the height of our podcast. And then the rest of the time we'll be on the way down, but we don't know when that point
Nobody
is.
knows the way down.
No.
No.
We're still trekking up that mountain.
I'm not sure if we're on the ascension. I think we hit our peak popularity right around episode 1.
We've just been on a slow decline since
We've
then.
been on a slow decline ever since.
That's like life.
If you look at our stats,
Yeah.
it's pretty much episode 1. And then no more listeners. That was it. That was the
That's
height.
not true at all.
No, it's not true.
We are a
No,
what's
it's
the word? Burgeoning? Blossoming?
burgeoning. That was just funny how you said it. Burgeoning.
We are a growing
We're
podcast.
exploding all over the world.
Yes.
You know, one listener in Greece.
That's a lot.
One listener in the UK, which we're pretty sure we know who that is. Yeah, but that's cool. We love you anyway.
Yeah. And you need to start talking to people and getting our names out there.
Hello there. In the UK.
Oi!
Oi. I think this is Australian. I think that's more offensive. All right, Zach.
You do a good Australian accent.
I do not do a good accent.
Do you have
I don't do any good accent.
Yes, you do. I think we should just have a show where Steve does his accents.
No. See, it's not that good, man.
It is.
It's not. It's really not. And I don't like being put on the spot.
That's all right.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Well, maybe when we do, I have a little bit of an activity, kind of a game later. And maybe you can
a funtivity?
It's a funtivity, yes. But we're not going to get to that yet. But when we get there, if you did it in your Australian accent, it would bring so much more to it.
Hello there.
Because
it's the same as my UK accent.
I
think all I do is an Australian accent.
Well, you're really good at it.
It's like, Steve, do South African. Hi, good night there.
Do German.
Hi. Boy.
Do American.
Hey, you won't go down to the Bobby.
That's really good.
I could do all the accents.
Yeah.
Just name a country and I'll do an Australian accent. It's really great.
Do your Canadian accent.
Oh, hey. How we doing? Hey, just good.
Yeah.
That's Canadian. No, Canadian is. I think I've done the Canadian accent. It's like, oh, hey there. How you guys doing there? Huh? Hey.
That's it.
Oh, you want to go down and get the maple syrup? I saw a moose selling maple syrup down there. Yeah. Oh my. Yes. Oh, sorry about that. Real sorry. They're great people. They're good people.
We like the Canadian people.
I love the Canadian people.
Do you have any good stories this week? Anything?
Well, Zach,
we've been talking so much the last few weeks about my musical that I feel like we've neglected what's been going on in Steven's life.
Well, you know, my daughter hit me with something hard yesterday, which made me feel weird.
Literally or figuratively?
Literally made me feel weird.
No, did she hit you hard with something literally?
Oh, no. She did not hit me hard. So my oldest daughter, who's going to be, she's 10. She's not going to be 11 for several months. She's sitting there, and she's getting to the age where, like, obviously super observant.
Yeah.
Incredibly intelligent young lady. Just love her. She's such a sweet kid, and she's so sincere about things.
We love Tess.
Yeah, Tess is the best. So Tess turns to me at random. She's working on, like, her quiet time journal for Wednesday nights.
Nice.
I'm like watching something stupid on YouTube. I think I have my laptop out and I'm just watching something stupid on YouTube, just trying to kill a few minutes while they're working on things quietly. And she goes, "Hey, Dad, did you ever have like a girlfriend before Mom?" And I'm like, I'm not ready to have this conversation with you, kid.
Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
What was in her quiet time
I have
journal
no
that
idea.
brought that
It was
up?
out of nowhere. And I was like, why are we talking about this? Because I'm like, do I tell her that I dated? Like, obviously everybody. Like,
Most people.
Some people do, like, the first person they ever meet, they get married to. But that's, like, very few and far between.
Yes.
You know? And so I'm like, I was like, I don't know how to even answer this. And I'm like, I'm not ready to have these kinds of conversations with her. Because it's like, this is getting like, you know, into like more of like an adult. Like,
Yeah.
I want her to, but she probably can comprehend. I'm getting flustered as I think about it right this second. But yeah, she asked me that, and I'm like, yeah, when I was in high school and college, yeah, dad, yeah, there's people I liked that weren't your mom before I met her. And like, I thought for sure there's gonna be follow-up questions. She's like, okay. I'm like, wait, was that just to throw me off for like a few minutes? Like, what was that? It made me super uncomfortable.
She's a sleeper agent.
Probably. Have your kids ever asked you about like dating, relationship kind of stuff yet? Like, I mean, Addie's way older.
Addie's got this thing where she's freaked out by, like, if there's a scene in a movie where there's kissing or something like that, that's like,
oh really?
She's like, yeah, she doesn't handle
Luke
that well.
is that way.
Yeah. So we no, not too much questions
really?
like that. Yeah,
okay.
I think it's just a.
So they never had like a boyfriend or girlfriend or anything. They never come home and been like,
no,
I have a boyfriend. Yeah, Ava.
Ava does. Ava, who is what, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She came home. She's like, I have a boyfriend in my class. I'm like, what's his name? I don't know. Like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
There's no boyfriends to be had in this house.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Ever.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the worst dad when it comes to that. I don't know how I'm going to handle any of that, Zach. Like, I look back now and I'm like, oh, that's why every one of those guys, when I would come over to pick their daughter up, looked at me with murderous contempt. Or
you just thought
contempt.
Yeah, you didn't realize that at the time. You just thought there was something wrong with you.
Yeah.
It was just anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most people look at me and are like, I would murder that guy if I got the chance. Like, just looking at my face.
Yeah, what's life like for you when you walk around? Everyone just mumbles under their breath as you walk past. Like, what's life like for you, Steve?
It's a bummer. It's a real bummer because I feel like I'm a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
And people just have this natural tendency to tear me apart.
Well,
to mock me.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
Band practice.
Uh-oh.
Last week.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Not for the teens.
Oh, the adults.
For the adults. I forget what I said.
Yeah.
But I got torn apart by everybody. Like, everybody was jumping in. And I'm not going to name any names, but some people that I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I went home to Sarah. I'm like, what am I doing? She's like, did you joke around with them? I said, I don't know. I probably unconsciously.
Yeah.
Unconsciously. I wasn't awake.
You're laying in the back.
Subconsciously.
That's why. Because Steve's laying on the ground.
I'm just laying on the ground. Yeah, barely breathing. Everybody just stands around mocking me for hours on end. But yeah, I think I do naturally, like, to make people more comfortable, I joke around with them.
Yeah.
But then when they do it back to me, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and Sarah's like, well, if you dish it, you have to be able to take it. I'm like, I don't think I dish it. But the truth is.
Oh, you dish.
I dish constantly.
Yes.
And I am so dumb, I'm not even aware of it.
Yeah.
What does this have to do with my children dating? I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, no,
we got way off topic.
Well, what was there a topic? There
No.
was a story.
It was a story.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter's freaking me out. One daughter freaking me out because she's asking me questions that I'm not comfortable with answering.
Yeah.
My other one's saying that she's got a boyfriend that she doesn't know his name. It's really concerning.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. But then there's like Luke who's like, why do they have to kiss? I'm like, yeah, remain that way for a while.
Exactly.
That's fine. That's a safe place. And then there's Pete who's just waiting for the opportunity to bite you.
Sounds like a wonderful dynamic you have at home.
I love my kids, man.
Yeah.
I got the best kids ever. I would never in a million years thought I would have 4 kids.
Yeah.
At the age of 38. It's a blessing.
Yeah, it's your birthday week.
It is. I mean, as this podcast airs, it's past my birthday.
And you're 38 years old.
I'm going to be, I will be 38 at the airing of this podcast. Yes. I have, as of the recording, I have not turned 38, but I feel very 38.
You look 38 today.
The years have not been kind.
So
I look more 58.
There's some people that Laura says this all the time. We joke that we feel old, but there's some people that have had rough lives and they look much older than they actually are.
Yes.
And she deals with, people that come into the hospital a lot of times are sick,
Yeah.
Whatever. Usually they're sick when they come to the hospital, unless they're just coming in to hang out. Right?
It's just that's their place to chill.
Yeah. So some people do that. Yes. But she'll like, her job sometimes is to take like information as people come in, and then they'll go back and be seen. So some days she just deals with everybody that comes through the door, takes all their information. And so as you're writing down and you see your 50th person that day, you think you know roughly how old people are just by the way they look. And she says sometimes she'll be ready to write down like 54 and they'll say like 32. And she's like, wow, if that person's 32, I've been doing something right in my life. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there are times where it's like, oh, then I feel bad because I'm like, yeah, that's a person that's like obviously had a rougher time than me. Yeah, I often get confused for being younger than I am, but I feel old.
It's not
like
it's the miles.
I'm just it's
It's not the age, it's the miles.
It's not the age, it's the miles. Oh gosh, I can't wait. Can't wait for that 5th movie.
Yeah.
All
anyway,
right, Zach.
I kind of have a little bit of an activity. You know what are the most fun games that we have?
Are the ones where we try like the least?
Are the ones that have to do with animals.
Oh, okay. Or the ones that have to do with animals.
We love animals.
We do love animals. We've only done one animal-based game though.
But we talk about animals all the time.
It's our favorite game of all time.
You'll call me, and all of a sudden we start talking about random animals all the time.
That has never happened.
Yes, it has.
When has that happened?
Well, just recently, you called me, and we started talking about this shark that lived to be like 500 years old or something.
Oh, yeah, we are old men.
Yeah, we talk about
You know what I watched on the Discovery Channel yesterday?
Well, everybody loves animals.
Do they?
Everybody either loves really cuddly, cute animals or really weird animals.
Yeah, why?
Because
what about ferocious animals? People like
sometimes.
ferocious
Yeah,
animals.
scary.
What's your favorite animal, Zach? Is it otter?
It's an otter.
Yeah,
I love otters.
I do love otters, man. I like lions.
Oh.
I think they're majestic.
The majestic lion.
I do. I love a lion.
You just see that thing coming.
I'm like, it's fine if you attack me.
I'm not going to attack you, but I thought if you did this game in your Australian accent as we're talking about these animals, it could be like, what is there like awards you can win for a podcast? like the
the potties,
the Emmy Awards of podcasting.
Potty.
It's called a potty.
Yeah.
You made that up.
Yes, because that's a toilet.
What is the podcast award?
I don't know.
If you do this in your Australian accent as we do this game, we will be nominated for this award.
Yeah. All 30 people that are listening are going to get us nominated.
So this game could be a little bit difficult because we are an audio
that's
medium.
all right. Yep.
And what I'm going to be talking about are the weirdest looking animals, the top 12 weirdest looking animals.
Yeah.
And I would like your reaction.
Okay.
So in order to make this work,
a game?
This is it's an activity. I said it's not actually a game.
It's a funtivity.
It's a funtivity.
Okay.
What I want is your reaction to the way these animals look, because some of them are really weird and really ugly looking.
And you think this is going to be in an audio medium?
So what I'm going to do is
you're going to describe it. You describe it, and I'll try to guess what it is.
No, the way this works.
It's got a big fluffy tail.
I am going to say the name of a certain weird-looking animal,
and I describe it.
And you, as the listener, can just listen and laugh, but you can then also maybe pause us, look it up on your phone what these animals look like, and you can laugh along with us.
Oh.
That's how this is going to work, because we have no video equipment. And we probably have our video podcast. What do you think? Maybe podcast 211, somewhere around there?
I think what our producer said, right around 258.
Okay.
So 200 episodes from now.
Okay. So you're going to have to do some work on this, too. So you're going to have to get up your Safari up there, because I'm going to tell you the name of an animal.
This is John James.
And we are going to talk about it.
All right. Okay? Go ahead, Zach. This is very convoluted.
Yes. All my games are. All right. So, lights down, music on.
You said this wasn't a game. You said this is an activity.
Activities can have music, too, Steve.
Okay, Zach. Okay. All
right.
Go ahead.
So we are going to be listing here the top 12 strangest animals that inhabit our planet.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Let's have a look at this.
Number 1. You need to look up on your phone. Or
you want me to look it up?
As we're doing this.
I don't know how to spell axolotl.
Well, yeah, I'll spell it out for you in a minute. The black rain frog. Would you please look up on your phone?
This is bad podcast. All right, you're having me text
the black rain frog. Because this thing, I
We're
saw
in
a
the
picture
same
of this.
room. Okay. Oh, have a look at this.
What does that guy look like to you, Steve?
Hey, it looks like a brevis fuscus.
Brevis fuscus.
That looks like... Wow. Have a look at this. What, is that a rock come to life?
So I'm going to read to you what it says here about this black rain frog. It says the black rain frog has a perpetual frown on its face. And when it's threatened, it puffs up, enlarging its body to seem intimidating. This frog is off the southern coast of Africa. An elevation of 3,300 feet. It doesn't need open water to survive, as it is a burrowing species.
What is this?
It can create tunnels up to 6 inches deep to find water and insects for feeding.
You gotta come up. You gotta come up with a game to go with this, dude. You're just describing a frog.
Well,
On our
you know what this frog's nickname is?
the round turd. I have no idea.
It is I want you to get a good look at this guy again. It is nicknamed the Sad Avocado.
Zach, this is a podcast medium.
I know.
Like
Look
nobody
it
can
up.
see this picture.
Look it up. The Sad Avocado. All right. Yes, it's a good one.
Quiz me on the animals, man.
I don't know.
People want a quiz.
All right, so I'll show you a picture,
Yes.
and then you guess what the name of this thing is.
Okay, that's good. That's good game. Good game.
All right. So, what do you think the name of this creature is?
That's a sad avocado.
You're gonna do it in your Australian accent. Come on.
Hey, have a look at these. I don't know how to do it anymore, man. I don't do an
That's
Australian
snake.
accent. What?
It's not a snake.
It's a snake. That's a boot frog. It's a boot frog. I found that in my boot.
In your boot.
Yeah.
All right. That was
John
number one.
James called me about it. He said that John James. He
All
said that. G'day, mate. He said that's in my boot.
All right.
He said I find those frogs in my boot all the time, and I take it. I tell you.
All right, Steven.
Yes,
That was
have a look.
animal number one.
Having a look at this.
Number two is this guy.
Oh my! That is the flying fox.
Describe what you are seeing here for the audience.
That's a bat that's been mixed with a camel, and it only comes out at night.
It's got big old eyes, that thing does.
Well, look at the schnoz on that
That
thing.
thing's got a nose the size.
It looks like Joe Camel.
Look at the ears.
It still looks like Joe Camel. Looks like Joe
All right.
Camel with wings.
What would you think the name of that creature would be?
That's the.
That thing is ugly.
that's
It's huge.
That's the.
It's a bat of some sort.
I know it's a bat. I'm gonna say that's the cane hopper.
It is called the hammer-headed bat.
The hammerheaded. I could see why it's called hammerheaded.
Yes, it does not look
I would
good.
also say pistol-headed.
The hammer-headed bat. That thing is ugly. So look that. All right, people. Since this is an audio medium,
Go look
go
it
look
up.
it up. The hammer-headed bat. That sucker.
Once
is-
again, this is terrible
ugly.
podcast.
This is great podcasting.
We are
All right.
trying to go. We're trying to get down to 0 listeners.
Yes. All right. So
Good.
the next one
We're gonna do
on
a
our
lot of
list-
editing on this one.
The next one, no editing at all. The next guy is this guy. How would you describe this little fellow we got here?
Please, Zach. I know what that is.
What is that?
We can't.
Well, it's nothing bad.
I think its name is.
No, it's not.
It's not that one.
No, it's not that name.
That's okay. So it's a little fluff ball. It looks like the head of an owl popped off, and it's just sitting there on a rock.
What about his nose, Steven?
It's a little. It looks like a hummingbird and a gerbil had a baby. Imagine, if you will, a hummingbird and a gerbil have a child,
Yes.
and that's what it is. What's it called?
The name of this animal is the elephant shrew.
Oh, the elephant shrew.
Say that, please, as John James would say.
Hello. So this is the elephant shrew, or as we call it in the outback, we call it elefante.
I don't know if anyone else is loving this.
No,
but I'm
this
crying.
I'm
crying.
horrible.
No, this is good.
Horrible.
This is good. All
Like
right.
even our long-term fans are turning us off. Sydney, please don't turn this off. We're begging.
All right, let's get this guy over here. This is a good one. Oh, what's this guy? Describe what you're seeing here, Steve.
That's an animal that only drinks coffee.
How big are that guy's eyes?
That guy, it looks like he is stressed out. That is some sort of weird. What am I trying to say? What are those things called? That's a lemur.
That is a lemur of sorts. There.
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of lemur is that?
That is. It's not telling me what type.
I'll
of
describe
lemur
it.
That is. That's just a regular old lemur.
There's no such thing as a lemur. Yeah, I'm not describing that one.
What is that guy, Stevie?
That's an axolotl.
That is an axolotl. You know,
The most overhyped animal ever. They're not.
They're cute little
They're
guys.
kind of cute,
They're white.
but like I feel like Minecraft really blew those things up.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only reason why they're popular.
Yeah, the axolotl there.
The axolotl. What do we know about the axolotl, Zach? They can live on land and in the water, right?
Yes, known as the Mexican walking fish, this amphibious salamander is critically endangered and nearly went extinct in 2010. They're weird because they don't go into metamorphosis like other salamanders. Even adults remain aquatic and gilled. This is the greatest podcast we've ever done, Stevie.
Zach, I would argue that this might be it. This might be it. Like we might have maxed out our potential. Like, what are we doing right now? You're showing me pictures on an audio podcast. Nobody can see what's happening. Like, you got to have questions or something, man.
All right. The next one is called a Mata turtle. M-A-T-A.
I think that's Mata.
Mata turtle. So everyone look up the Mata turtle. This game is called Steve and Zach look at funny looking animals and laugh on the podcast. This is the game we're
right now. That looks like a corgi.
How would you describe
Is that just an
the
advertisement?
Mata turtle?
Okay. Imagine, if you will, imagine along with me, that a razor blade crossed with a snapping turtle. That there is an alligator snapping turtle.
Yes, it is.
But he's got, instead of a head, he's just a razor blade. That's all he is.
He's got spikes.
He's got spikes on his head.
All right, do him as John James now. That thing's got spikes.
That's called spikes for dice.
That thing is scary.
Crikey.
That thing is a shredder.
That thing, that's what it is. It's Shredder. It's the Shredder turtle.
Yes.
Wait, what are we doing? We're 23 minutes
We're having fun.
and we're having fun.
All right, so this guy, he is called.
Gotta stop, man.
This guy is called the Purple Frog.
You're still going.
We're still going.
You're getting me back for the McGriddles.
Yes, we are. This guy is called the Purple Frog. How would you describe said Purple Frog?
Well, Zach, I would describe it as a purple frog. I don't think there's too much else to describe. It looks like if you had a purple loogie. So imagine, if you will, you have an icy. It's a purple. It's like grape flavored. And then you gotta spit really bad. That's what the purple frog looks like.
Yes.
It looks like something you just hawked on the ground.
Yeah, that's a good-looking guy. Purple Frog, he's a good one.
Yeah, that was a great one, Zach. Look up the purple frog.
All right, this guy, he is called the Indian Gharial.
Okay, you got one more after this.
Okay, this is a good one.
The gharial. I know what that is. The fish.
No, he is not a fish. He's that guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like an alligator.
Yeah, look at that guy. How would you describe that alligator's face? What happened to that
Imagine if an alligator, imagine if you will, an alligator has too many Sour Patch Kids. And his face just sucks right in because it's
got
so
a little
sour.
face.
He's got a little face. He's got a big body,
little-
but his face is all sucked in.
Yes, he's got lots
like,
of teeth.
Like he had too many lemon heads.
He's got all that teeth and no toothbrush.
You go. That's right. He's ornery. Got all them teeth and no toothbrush.
All right.
Oh, one more. You got one more, and then
I
we
can
have to move on because this is way too long of a segment.
No, it's not. This is a good
It's the
segment.
last one, Zach. Make it good. Nobody's had more fun than Zach.
I'm having so much fun with this, but I can't find. I want to find a good one here to end it with. Oh man, I think people are loving this. These are getting less weird as.
Oh, hey,
Whoa.
look. Hey, here comes our boss with pink slips
All right, this
for
guy.
wasting time.
This guy is called the long wattled umbrella bird.
Long wattled?
Wattled, W-A-T-T-L-E-D.
Wattle.
The long wattled umbrella bird.
It's like wassail.
How would you describe what you are seeing here?
What am I looking at? Where's its head? Is that its head?
What color is this thing, Steven?
I would describe it as gray. Bluish gray? And it's got like this thing protruding out of its neck.
It's really long wattle there, Steven.
Is that what that
it's
is?
a
Is
long
that its
wattled
wattle?
umbrella bird.
Does that open up into something?
Yes, it becomes an
umbrella?
I imagine so. So if you had a long thing like that, Stevie, and it would start raining outside, you assume that thing would open up to keep you dry in the adverse weather. Oh man, I hope everyone that's listening loved this segment as much as I did.
There's no way that people have not skipped forward or turned this off.
No, everyone listens to this. We're going to get people tell us that this was the best segment we've ever done on our show.
Hey, remember that segment where you guys laughed at pictures that only you could see?
Yes.
Yeah, it was really good.
Good for podcasting.
Okay, well, hey, when we come back, we're going to have something to talk about.
Bye.
We'll see you in a minute. And we're back. Today, we're going to talk about anger. I'm dealing with a little bit of anger because of that first segment.
I was showing you some good pictures of it.
You showed-
I'm
you
still
literally-
laughing.
Yeah, you're laughing. I'm like questioning how are we ever going to assemble that or make any semblance of that we could present in our audio medium.
Let's just play it.
You were so proud of yourself.
Yeah, it was
Like,
fun. I was having so much fun.
That's like when people that are sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this, like when you have a thought in like while you're sleeping, you wake up and you write it down, and then when you actually wake up and you read it, and you're like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
That was kind of that segment.
Yeah.
I was like,
We should put at the beginning a number that they can go.
we
past
always
to.
do.
Yes.
We always do.
Skip ahead to whatever
and
number.
yeah, skip ahead to 26. And
Anyway.
you'll better survive this podcast.
So you're angry at me, is what you're saying.
I'm not angry at you,
You
Zach.
have
I
anger.
don't know if I've ever been actually angry at you.
Not too bad.
I mean, we've got mad at each other about things, and we've talked.
Do you
about
have
it.
anger issues, Steven?
Yes, 100%.
It's very honest of you.
It's not. We've talked about anger in the past, but I think it's a good thing to continue to talk about because I would have to imagine that most people deal with anger.
You know, when we
It's
talk, we do our Wednesday night small groups, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure how you do your small groups as far as
the best way.
I know.
Yeah.
But we give them a little bit of say on what they want to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, that's
And
what we do.
yeah.
Are you talking about us like collectively, or that's what you do with your small
Yeah,
group?
our junior high small group
Okay.
compared to your senior high small group.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll be in a conversation and we don't even really get to what we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
because what they're talking about is good, right?
Well,
And-
it's important to them.
yes. And
Yeah.
as long as it's biblical and we can
Well, everything can be brought back.
Exactly. And so we've been in a series about the things we struggle with.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like they struggle a lot with anger and frustration and how to control these feelings that we get when our siblings make us mad, our parents make us mad, our school makes us mad, our friends, and how do we deal with that in a godly, loving way?
Yeah.
And we've been talking about that, it seems like, for 4 or 5 straight weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important thing to deal with. Have you seen progress being made Do you see them?
Yes.
Are they talking about how they're dealing with it in a better way? Or
Yes.
is it like continually the same thing? They're like,
No.
"Oh, this isn't, I'm still mad about this." Like, so you'd say that you've seen progress being made here.
For one instance, one of the students was talking about how they get really frustrated at home with stuff going on, maybe with their siblings, parents, whatever, and they just want to like break things.
Yeah.
They get frustrated. They want to throw something, and so the talk was, when we get angry, how can we better funnel that anger?
Channel it.
Sure. And so it doesn't become harmful to you or others or things or your life. Because we've talked about this before, about emotions that spring up and how we are made in God's image. And when we experience things, organically,
Yep.
it doesn't mean that it's always a bad thing. For instance,
Anger in and of itself
is not a sin.
No.
Right? The Bible says, "In your anger, do not sin."
exactly.
And it's how we deal with the anger. Sorry, I've got one of those black poison dart frogs or whatever stuck in my throat.
One of
The
those-
frowning avocados.
That was the dumbest looking frog of all time. No, you're 100% correct, Zach. I mean, like, let's backtrack a little bit.
Let me finish my thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
I'm sorry.
I was started thinking about that frog.
We got sidetracked.
The frog in the throat. So this one student, how do I deal with the anger? Because we feel this, like it's just natural. Like I get angry, but how do I, in my anger, not sin? So we talked to her and said, "Hey, why don't, when you start to feel that way, maybe journal?" And when you journal, then you can then talk in your journal, your diary, about what is making you angry. And so in your anger, then you do not act out upon it. You take a minute, you write it down, and pray over it. And then once you've done that, then go address it, maybe with that person or whatever. But that's a good way to take a minute, because a lot of times when we act out in anger, it's because we are reactionary.
We're not thinking.
We're not thinking.
We're just doing.
Right.
Yep.
And so
That's what gets me in trouble.
And so it was cool to hear. We just gave out that just a little bit of advice. And then a couple weeks later, the student came up and said, "Hey, I started journaling when I get angry." And so that's
them.
like, that's great.
That's fantastic.
That's
wow. You don't.
You
ever-
rarely
rarely do you ever hear a kid say, "Hey, I tried that thing you told me."
yes. So
It's usually, "Oh yeah,
yeah, that's a good idea.
that's a good idea. You're right. You've done that."
So for your question, what? That's an example. That's one of there's an example for you, Stevie.
Well, I do have other questions. Just backtracking, because like how we deal with anger, I mean, can stem from a lot of things. And I'm not in no way am I blaming, but sometimes how we're raised and what we're raised around can like causes us to be. So let me ask you this:
Sure.
like in your home, was there yelling or anything like that? Because so this is why I ask.
Okay.
You are a very calm person.
Yes.
In general.
Yes.
Like, I rarely ever see you get amped about anything, upset about too much, or, and I rarely, if ever, have ever seen you raise your voice. I don't even know if I have heard you raise your voice. I don't even know if you have the capability of raising your voice.
I can get loud, Steve.
Can you? All right. Well, so my question is,
Yeah.
like, growing up, was that how it was in your home?
No, I guess looking back, there was not a ton of it. It was not an atmosphere. I've been in situations, whether you go to a supermarket or somewhere, where you see yelling happening. It's like a
Yeah.
parent to their child.
Yeah, it was never. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was scolding, there was yelling, but it wasn't an atmosphere of always yelling and fighting and stuff. That was not.
Okay.
There was, I mean, I think sometimes it's always there. Every once in a while you'll experience it, but it wasn't a constant.
And in no way, in asking these questions, in no way am I trying to either justify or place blame on something else. We make our own choices,
But we all come
decide.
from different experiences.
Yeah, we all come from different experiences. So my home growing up, I'm not like, this isn't me knocking my parents. It was just loud.
Okay.
They were a very loud and passionate family, I guess
Okay.
is the nice way
Yeah.
to put it. So it was very commonplace for me. Sarah grew up the exact opposite
Yeah.
of that, where it was like, there was like, if there was yelling of any sort, it was typically like parents, you're deep in trouble.
Yeah.
Like in deep trouble. Somebody got in a lot of trouble. But I think in general it was not like, very common. So for me coming into our marriage, reactions to things totally different ways. Now, obviously, my wife is far more mature than me in how she she could quickly step away from something and like process her emotions, where I'm just like, let's deal with it, you know. But I'm also a very reactive individual, and so I have to be very conscientious of how I react to things or choose not to react to something. And it's taken me many years to get to that place. And I'm not placing blame on anybody, because once again, it's my choice. It's ultimately my choice on how I deal with things, and if I want to get better at them. I'm just saying, like, if you grew up with that, don't use that as your excuse as to, well, that's just what I know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can still make choices to do better.
Yes.
And that's my whole point in saying all that. To say this, like, you could choose to improve, or just like, oh, it was this way, so people should just accept it for what it is. Well, that's not healthy.
No.
Either. But it definitely, it does play a part in who we are as people. So for me, anger has always been a struggle. Because I'm very passionate about things, one way or the other. I'm ultra passionate. Like there, very little middle ground. It's either I hate something or I really love something, and it's very I guess not as often now as I used to be, but very little middle ground. It's not like, I mean, it's become, the older I get, the more I get like that. But like for most of my adult life, it's either, there's something lacks justice and I feel angry about it and I feel like I have to, or I'm really excited about something and I'm still loud about everything.
Yeah.
But getting to our point about anger, like, all right, there are ways that we can suppress our reaction to it, and the Bible's very clear on it. James talks about be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And where does a lot of our anger come from? It's of other people. Yeah. Are we angry at ourselves? Absolutely. But like, we could temper that because it's within ourselves, and usually we just get down on ourselves. We're not. You don't see people too often yelling at themselves or red in the face constantly, like punching themselves, hypothetically, or not hypothetically, but figuratively. But like when it comes to other people and how other people treat us, like we're the ones that need to determine how we react to those things, how we process those things.
Right. Because anger is a natural emotion.
It is.
It's part of who we are as people, as the creation.
Yeah.
God has what we call righteous anger.
Yeah.
Meaning God becomes angry when something happens that's against his plan, his love, the way he has things created. And so he reacts in a just way.
Yes.
And in his anger in the Old Testament, we've talked about God's wrath, how he would do things and make justice in that moment.
Exactly.
Righteously.
Because he's perfect.
Yes.
And so he could justifiably go against things that are evil because there's no evil within him.
Correct.
For us to become angry with someone else is hypocritical, and that's why it's
but we
sinful.
Feel angry.
Yes.
But like you said, we're not God, and we don't have perfect responses to things.
And we shouldn't act out upon it. Yeah.
Yes. And how then do you act when you are angry? How then do you act godly even when you have these frustrations in your life? So I would ask the students, all right, give me some examples of things that make you angry. And a lot of times it had to do with siblings.
Okay.
Fair enough. My brother keeps stealing my stuff, and he just thinks it's not a big deal, and it makes me angry. Or My sister won't stop talking when I'm talking, always interrupts me, and I get angry. Or then you got the student that said, my friend at school got angry and I punched them. Like, okay, these are not good responses to
No.
how you should feel, how you should act whenever you have this natural feeling of anger that comes upon you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, Steve, what are some things that make you angry?
Everything. Everything makes me angry. Like I said before, like when I feel like the thing that makes me the most angry is things that I feel it's unfair treatment. Not even just with myself, but with anyone.
Okay.
Like when I see injustice, I'm not like, and this sounds like I'm like elevating myself, and I mean it kind of is, but it's not a good thing. It's like, but when I see injustice, when I see people getting mistreated or hurt, I get angry.
Okay.
So like, I mean, and it goes with anybody. If I see somebody being mistreated, or struggling with hurt from someone else, it angers me. It's like, I mean, most often it's usually like things that are happening to my wife.
Okay.
Because, I mean, obviously, she's the one I talk to the most. And I see her upset or hurt by something, it enrages me. Because somebody's hurting somebody that I love. So I'm very protective of those I love. So anybody, like, I call a friend or I'm close with, when I hear that they're being hurt by someone else, I get angry. And it's not even my battle. It's not even my fight. But I still feel like this thing within me where I'm like, justice needs to be served.
Yeah.
Like I'm like some crazy vigilante or something. Like I'm gonna make everybody apologize to everybody.
Yeah.
But like I'd say typically injustice makes me angry, or like, and I mean that could be even directed at me when I feel like I'm being treated unfairly. But like rarely do things where like mundane. Like I get frustrated with stupidity, but like angry, it's usually at injustice.
Okay. Maybe you said your loved ones, but yourself as well. If you feel like you have been wronged.
If I've been wronged, yeah, I feel it. Now, I will act out in my anger more so if I see somebody else getting hurt than feeling myself getting hurt. I'll wallow in pity.
You'll internalize it.
Yeah, I internalize it with me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to usually take it out on somebody else. But when it comes to other people, I'm like, I just like, I want to make things. I want to fix things.
Yeah.
And so I want to take it into my own hands and fix it.
Okay.
And, and we see and sometimes people are like, well, there is righteous anger. And I'm going to challenge people on that because people always point to, well, Jesus flipped the tables.
He did.
In the temple.
Yeah.
Once again, Jesus is God.
Yeah.
He's righteous in his anger. We're not righteous in our anger. Like, like Zach said at the top of this segment, not to sin in our anger. Can we feel angry? Yes. Should we act upon our anger? No. Why could Jesus act upon his anger then? Because he was making the wrong right. Because he is God and he is just in what he did. He could only be just in what he did. Like those people were doing something wrong and he could do it. Why is it wrong for us to do the same thing? Because we're imperfect.
Yeah.
We're imperfect. Jesus is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's presenting an argument that's difficult to really substantiate, but like Jesus is God. So like as we see God reacting to injustice in the Old Testament and things that brought on his wrath and how he acted upon those things by, killing and all that kind of stuff, removing, enslaving, all that. We're seeing the similar thing in Jesus flipping tables and making a whip out of cords and snapping it at people because they're doing something wrong inside the temple.
Yeah.
But if we act out in that way, it's not going to bring good as Jesus could do it.
Right.
Because once again, we can't understand fully how Jesus could act out in that, because in that moment, like only someone that is perfect could do something like that.
Right.
Where it's always going to come back to us as individuals, as our being self-gratifying.
Yes. And I think that's where
They're self-righteous.
that's where the filter, how we make these judgments, needs to come from. When we are responding, is it to benefit ourselves, or is it to honor God in how we react to this? If we're talking about righteous anger, and I think most of the time we're going to find out that, hey, this is making me feel better.
Yep.
It's not. Am I helping the situation, or am I helping myself feel better in the situation? And so when we would have these conversations, and we didn't get into, the deep, real travesties and injustices that are going on in the world, like, I don't know, human trafficking or something crazy like that.
Yep.
Obviously there's right and wrong there, but we got more into like relational things, like my friends doing this, and why would my friend bully me? Things like that. I get angry because I see my friend being bullied by this other person, and you have this response of anger. Okay. And so how then would you respond in a godly way? And what we need to do, and this is hard to do, the first step in acting godly whenever we are angry is to not act. Because we get into
Our first
trouble.
action is a lack of action.
Is a lack of action.
That's good.
Because when we act in our anger, it's very hard to control ourselves and to act godly, because we're not acting.
We're not in our right mind.
We're not in our, no, we're not. No, yes, exactly. We're not in our right mind. We're not acting as we normally would.
No.
Because we're acting out of the emotion that we have.
Yeah, we're enraged.
Yes.
And rage never.
And so you have to take a step back.
Yes.
When you feel anger,
We're
best
going right
thing,
to the passage from James.
Yes, the best thing you do is be slow in your anger
Yes.
and rich in love, right?
Yes, rich in love, slow in anger. But that's why we need to listen through things and understand our and maybe you're getting to this.
Yes.
I apologize. But we need to slow down and think about if anger is coming from something somebody's telling us, slow down and listen to the words that they're saying rather than quickly coming up with your response.
Yes, because a lot of time, if you get a story from a friend, you're getting the story with their anger tied into what's happening. You get a version of events that is tinged with the anger that they're feeling. Sometimes if you get the other person's version of the events that's happening, you get a whole different, thing that's happened, a whole different narrative, whole different story.
Yes.
And you can begin to see two sides, right? So when you are feeling anger, you take a step back. And I mean, this is easier said than done. You take a step back, allow a moment to allow God to refocus your mind, and try to look at things rationally.
Yes.
And I think that James passage that's what it's saying there.
Yeah.
Right? You take a step back and you allow processing to come in, because anger happens when we act out of instantaneous frustration and stuff. That's when you hit something when you shouldn't, right?
Exactly.
That's when you regret.
You punch a hole in the drywall.
Exactly. Because that instant where you make that reaction, a lot of bad can happen in there.
Exactly.
I mean, this happens in relationships. This happens in
everything.
You can say a word, you can do an action, you can send a text.
And then you can't take it back.
Yes. And then that split second of, hey, I lost track of what I'm thinking, becomes a big issue.
Yes, it does.
And it's training yourself to respond in a way that's godly.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's the only way. I mean, James is probably speaking from experience. I mean, this is somebody that directly was with Jesus a lot.
Yeah,
a lot. This is Jesus' earthly brother,
and
so he probably saw this very reaction from his brother. Yeah, and it's like, this is what Jesus did.
Yeah, there's a lot of times in the Gospels where his disciples just don't get something, and you can hear the frustration coming out of the passage
from the text that
what Jesus is saying.
So you guys just aren't getting this.
Yes. He was like, how can you not understand this? Basically, it was like that you can feel that coming from that.
Yeah.
But in that, he did not sin, right?
No, he does not sin because he doesn't react upon it. He's not knocking them. He's like, I'll explain it in a simpler way. There had to be nights where I imagine Jesus is just praying to the Father, be like, come on, man. I don't know. What's up with these guys?
Yes.
But, I mean, I say that in jest. But, I mean, there's truth to that. I mean, he's dealing with broken humans.
Yes. And so are we.
Yeah, and so are we. And so we have to remind ourselves that, number one, we're not perfect.
No.
We're going to make mistakes. But at the same time, our reactions matter a lot because they're going to dictate how conversations are going to move forward and how our relationships are going to be moving forward. And so I have had to learn how to like slow down and really listen. And there's a big difference between listening and hearing.
Yeah.
Like hearing is like what we're doing right now. We hear the air conditioner in the background. That it sounds like a jet taking off, like constantly in this, the spare room. Like we're hearing all these things around us, but like listening is concentrating and actually processing the words that are being said to us.
Yeah.
That's listening, and not already having a formed response in our mind. The thing that Zach and I talk about, we're both guilty of constantly, because as we sit here, do this podcast, rarely are we actually listening to each other.
Yeah.
We're picking up on ideas, and we're like, this is how I'm going to respond to that.
Yes.
But
and you'll have conversations with people, and you get so frustrated because you'll tell them one thing, you'll have this conversation, and their response is something completely left field of what you're saying. This happens all the time, and you know they're not listening to anything that you're saying.
You and I have been there.
Yeah.
With each other. Yeah. Where it's like, I'll respond with like, and you're like, you weren't listening. It's like, you got me.
Yeah.
I mean, and we've done that to each other. But yeah, I mean, so if we want to work on anger, especially with other people, it's like, especially when it comes to conversations and confrontation, slow down your time when you're listening. And if you feel yourself getting angry, gently excuse yourself from the conversation. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Saying like, hey, you know what? I'm going to say something I'm going to regret. Why don't we come back to this later?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do something that I'm going to regret. I'm going to come back to this later. Walk away.
And then a good thing to do is to find godly counsel.
Yes.
Because my wife will sometimes come to me and say, I'm having this issue with a person, maybe at work or whatever, and I know if I talk to them now, I'm going to flip out. And so, and then she'll tell me what's going on, and usually what's happening is the person that she's mad about's in the wrong, but then there's also some things that she might be doing that are wrong as well. And there's always two
sides to every story, right?
And so to take that step back and maybe have someone come in and talk with you through things, it might help you to
give you better perspective.
Forgive.
Yeah. Forgive them, give you better perspective on where they're coming from. Cause you're and that was like one of the things that I wanted to mention when we first started talking about this is like, when you're listening to somebody, understand that they're a person too.
Yes.
It's not all like, and I think a lot of our anger comes from, we put ourselves at the center of our own universe, and it's like how everything affects me.
Exactly.
You laughing because it's me?
No, it's me too.
I mean, yeah.
That's yeah.
I thought you were like, yeah, Steve, we know how you are.
No, I was thinking more myself.
Yeah, no, this is the truth. Yeah, but that's me making me the center of my universe. But that's I think a lot of the issues sometimes is like we're not thinking about the other person. That's one thing I'm definitely envious of with my wife, because she just naturally thinks of others, and it's the most frustrating thing.
Well, that's what she's supposed to do.
Yeah, I know. Frustrate me.
No, think of others.
Think of others. I know.
Bringing it back to yourself again.
It's all about Stevie boy. It's always about me. No, but Sarah would say, yeah, you do make everything about you. Because I do. And she's really good at being like, Steve, when I think about things, I think about how it affects you and the kids and everything. Like, I'm not just thinking about myself. And I see that in how she responds to things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's times where I'm saying things and I'm frustrating her, and she just wants to be like, you're a moron. Get out of here. But she doesn't. She keeps cool and collected. She's like, let's come back to this in a little bit. And I'm like, no, let's talk about it now. I need to talk, because I'm thinking about like I want to get this all over with.
Yeah.
The wisest thing you could do is to do just that. Step away from things and think about, like, if this continues on this way, it's only going to get worse.
Right.
The best,
but not for too long, because
I'm not saying forever.
No, you don't let the sun go down on your anger as well.
Yes.
You take a step back in the moment.
Yes.
Pray about it, deal with it.
No, yeah, I'm not saying like.
And then you go and deal with it.
Exactly.
Because not only can anger be, destructive in a momentary slip, but it can also fester and be destructive in a long term.
Oh, it gets so much worse.
Yes,
because it'll start eating away
exactly.
at you if you that. And what you're talking about is like the isolation. Like you isolate yourself and you just think about the situation and how you want it to be better, and then you actually aren't getting to a solution because you're only working it out in your own head, and you're determining the outcome on your own.
Yes.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse to the point where you hate a person for the thing that they said to you in your own mind.
Exactly.
Like, oh, they would have said this though, and it's like, but did they say that? Or
Yes.
is that what you think they would say? Is that how you think they'll respond? Well, I know how they'll respond. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And that part of that is like, we're not trusting God to lead us through that.
Yes.
Lead us through the difficulties. Lead us through the confrontations that we need to have. We have to say, okay, God, help me to number my words, direct my words, and if I start deviating from your will and path in this, help get me right back on it. And he will. That doesn't mean the other person's going to receive it perfectly well. We can't determine that, but you should be praying for that person to receive like the conversation well, and understand that there are two sides to everything. And so, are you actually working this out between the two of you, or is it all about you? If you're doing it with a self-righteous mindset, it will end up bad.
Hey, Grandpa. So,
Closing thoughts, Zachary?
yeah, you did such a good job of summarizing all this.
Did I?
was just-
I don't know. I felt like I was rambling.
No, it was good.
Ramble on.
No, because yeah, I mean, we could talk forever about anger, and
Yeah.
I think we've done a podcast in the past about it as well. But it's something that we deal with it all the time.
Yeah, it's something we need to come back to because
Yes.
it's common.
Yeah.
It's one of the most common issues that we deal with on a daily basis. Like understanding we're broken people.
Yeah.
We're gonna make mistakes. How could we be better? And so to come back to something that we've talked about, it's not like we're talking about it every single week. It probably could,
Yeah.
justifiably.
Yeah.
So, like, hey, remember this week, be nice to each other.
Yeah.
And love one another. Think about how another person feels before you think about yourself.
Yeah.
As the Bible tells us to.
Ah,
Isn't that crazy?
that is crazy.
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
Last week we were talking a little bit about that too.
Yeah.
Because I got angry. Honestly, last week, like when our topic last week,
You got fired up.
well, I was fired up because it was something that, once again, it wasn't something that happened to me. It was something that was said to someone else, and it bothered me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, when I think, when the word Christian is used,
It should be out of love,
I'm
not
part
out
of
of condemnation.
I'm part of that crew.
yeah.
I'm a Christian. So if one Christian's is saying something that's hurting somebody else, they're representing the whole,
Yeah.
and I want to attack.
Yeah.
That's wrong. It is wrong. But let's love each other. Let's be better to each other. Let's care for each other. For Zach and Steve have a podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Zachy. See you next time.
We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.